Okay, welcome back to part 2 of best practices in programming. We just got done discussing hard coding versus relative coding as far as writing the variable price or just hard coding the number 500. So what is next? Let's see. We need to define a variable to hold the tax rate. Okay, that's not going to change, so I'm going to put it in all caps. All right. Calculate the tax by multiplying the tax rate by the subtotal and assign this number to a variable called tax. Okay. Lowercase because this should change. So tax equals subtotal times tax rate. And just to make sure it's working, we're going to make sure we print the tax so we can see it in interactive mode and make sure it is what we expect. Now, if I get 2 vaccines, that will be a subtotal of $1,000. 15% of $1,000 should be $150. So if I run it with those numbers, my tax should show up as $150. Okay, I want 2 vaccines. Ooh, that's too big, right? What happened? Well, it didn't throw us an error, right? It's not telling me that I used the wrong function. It's not telling me that I forgot to close parentheses. It's not telling me anything like that. The code is running. It's just not the answer that I expect. So when you have a problem with your program and the problem lies in the logic, that's what we call a silent error. So if you are a math person, this error might actually be pretty obvious to you. The tax rate shouldn't be 15, it should be 15%, right? Python did exactly what we told it to, we just gave it bad direction, so it didn't give us the answer that we were expecting. So making typos is a great source of silent errors. Overwriting variables when you didn't mean to do that yet is a really good source of silent errors. Typos actually will give you a non-silent error, but the point being, if I run it now and I put in 2, it'll show me 150. So I have fixed the silent error. Very good. We're very happy for ourselves. Okay. We got that straightened out. We did that. Okay. Define a variable to hold the flat shipping fee. This is something we don't expect to change. No dollar signs. Next, calculate the grand total by adding the subtotal, tax, and shipping, and then assign this number to a variable. Grant. Okay, so, and I forgot my underscore here. No spaces allowed in variable names. That is illegal. So grand underscore total. Well, we calculate that by getting the subtotal plus the tax, right? We want this guy, not the rate. We want the tax. If you put tax rate here, that'd be another example of a silent error because you'd be providing Python with the wrong variable to use in the calculation. And last but not least, we want the shipping. Okay. And since it won't tell us variables unless we ask it to, print grand total. Now, if my math is correct, 2 vaccines, 500 apiece, plus 150 for shipping, plus, 150 for tax, plus 45 for shipping should be about 1,195. So let's give it a whirl and see if that happens. So all I want to say is 2. There you go. Our grand total is 1,195. Beautiful, beautiful. So in essence, we have gotten everything we need to do. I have showed you how to piece things out. I've talked to you about good descriptive variable names. Another thing I will say is that generally, if you can do something in fewer lines, that is better. You don't want to sacrifice reproducibility to do something with fewer lines, but once you get comfortable with the program and you start to feel like you could condense things down, that's generally the way we like to see it because it's less complicated and less typing for you. Always, always, always check your code. So I did this example with 2 vaccines. I would want to try it at 5, at 500, at 1,000, make sure it works at all of those numbers. Additionally, if you really wanted to get into it, you could try to test it for if the user makes a typo and they wanted -2 vaccines. That would just break the whole thing, right? But there are ways of preventing that. So run it with multiple numbers is the take-home message there. And while we do pseudocode in the beginning, don't be afraid to also comment out your code in line. So for example, if you've never seen Python before, you might be like, what does this do? What does this line do? Well, I can go under and I can say, asks the user how many vaccines they want and stores it in the variable num_vax. That is a good descriptive comment, right? It says exactly what's going on here and why we're doing it. Additionally, you could say something like, why did we choose 15? Well, the tax rate in Alabama is 15%. That's not actually true, I'm just using it as an example, but commenting within your program is also a very good idea. So I hope that was helpful. If you follow these guidelines, I think you will be off to a great start. I appreciate you watching and stay tuned because I will be doing more in the future.